Hey everybody, welcome to the Sharp Tongue Podcast. I'm your girl Jessimae Peluso. My voice is a little worn because I was screaming at the top of my lungs until 2:30 in the morning last night at the Hollywood Improv. We were hanging out with a couple comedian friends. I reunited with my dear friend Adam Ray and his beautiful fiance, my girl Katie Cazorla, and her husband Walter, and we got a little wild. We partied. We went into the room after the show was done, the showroom, and kicked open the piano, and we're doing basically like karaoke with the piano, and it was so much fun. And you know me. I mean, well, you guys kind of know me, but one thing about me is I like a routine, and I'm in bed by like 10 most nights, which is very difficult to sustain doing stand-up comedy. But this is what happens when I don't abide by my routine. I lose my voice. I just sound like a little mouse there. How is everybody? How you doing? How you learning, loving, and living? I hope you're doing amazing. This episode is exciting for me because I catch up with an old friend. But before we get into that, you know what you got to do. You got to go to YouTube. You want to watch the video, it'll be available on YouTube, youtube.com/Jessimae Peluso. Please tell your friends. Tell them how much fun I am. Go over there, click like and subscribe. And our Patreon is on and popping. We're posting new stuff every week, exclusive content, all sorts of different types of videos, bonus episodes, and just different fun things. That's patreon.com/Jessimae Peluso. And we've got a few sponsors this week for the podcast, which I'm so excited about. And we will be announcing our new partnership soon once we make the full migration over to the new platform. But until then, we are getting a bunch of sponsors, and I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. First up, we have Green Chef, which I'm pumped to try. I'm trying to find ways to stay green and be more green. I don't know how much it's going to matter because global warming is already happening, but every little bit counts. And you can enjoy your greens while being green with Green Chef. It's one of the most sustainable meal kits, offsetting 100% of their plastic packaging in every box and 100% of their carbon footprint and emissions. That's pretty impressive. I need to know the science. I want to meet the man who made this all happen, or woman. See, my brain went right to a man. It's probably a woman because we're really good with cleaning and multitasking. Green Chef's pre-portioned ingredients mean you'll actually reduce your food waste by at least 25% compared to grocery shopping. This is one thing that when I was learning about Green Chef, I realized, when you buy individual items from the grocery store, you have such a plastic buildup, such a glass buildup. Like every single time you go to the grocery store, there's a ton of byproduct. And with Green Chef, there's fresh produce, premium proteins, organic ingredients that you can trust. It's the number one quit your meals. The way they do it is with air. Meal kit for eating well. Green Chef offers 35 nutritious and flavorful options to choose from every week, featuring premium clean ingredients that are seasonally sourced for peak freshness. Now that to me is key, because I don't know how good it is and how healthy it is to be able to get a strawberry every day. I don't think we're supposed to have strawberries every day. I think it's all about that seasonal stuff, but people want strawberries every day, and then they have to put chemicals into the ground to make the strawberries grow every day. So you might want to reconsider, you guys. Green Chef makes cooking easy so you can spend less time stressing and more time shoving food in your pie hole. More time making delicious home-cooked meals. Green Chef's pre-made and pre-measured sauces and dressings and spices get you more chef-curated flavor in less time. That's the one thing that's always missing in the kitchen for me sometimes is, I said always and sometimes, is when you cook and there's just no freaking flavor. I'm like, oh, cool, this brick of chicken is drying my whole mouth out. I need a little dash of salt. I'm excited about this. I'm really looking forward to feeling like I can shove all this food in my mouth and I'm not shoving all this plastic on Mother Nature and on Earth. So you guys are basically heroes if you shop with Green Chef. So if you want to go to greenchef.com/sharp130 and use code sharp130 to get $130 off. What? Plus free shipping. You have to try it now. Because you're going to be helping the earth. You're going to get delicious food. And why not like plan a date and hide the recipe and act like you just whipped this up? You're welcome. You're welcome for that idea. greenchef.com/sharp130. Use code SHARP, SHARP130 to get $130 off. Plus free shipping. That's so exciting. I'm really pumped for you guys for that one. This next company, I am also very excited to try. I've seen billboards for it all over LA, and a couple of my girlfriends have mentioned about this company. And you guys know I am obsessed with skincare. I've struggled with skin issues my entire life. I've had chronic acne when I was younger, and you guys know I always talk about how greasy I am. I'm a shiny Italian. And it can be difficult, it can be difficult trying to keep your skincare on point when you're as greasy as I am. So I was excited to try this company to see how my skin would react with it, because it's hard to find skincare products with clean, simple ingredients that are actually functional and that actually are productive and do something for your skin and can help the conditions that you're trying to address. So OC has been making clean and effective skincare products for over 25 years. That's almost as long as I've been alive. Thank you. I'm so young. They have award-winning cleansers, serums, and face moisturizers, which, by the way, really recommend doing that. Using serums. I know sometimes it's hard to know what you really need and what you don't need, and is all this stuff extra? Companies trying to charge you extra. I have religiously used cleansers, serums, and face moisturizers and SPFs for a very long time, and it makes the biggest difference. They're also known for creating amazing body products like their famous body oil. It is time to luxuriate. You got to oil that body, make it count. Since 1996, OC has been creating clean, vegan, and cruelty-free products that are safe for your skin and the planet. We're in the green zone today, baby. We're all about saving the planet. And they've done it again. They just released a body butter. Ooh, you need some butter for your body. You want to butter that booty up with some body butter, and you don't want to sleep on this product. It's even proven to moisturize the skin for up to 72 hours. I'm setting the clock. I'm going to dip myself in butter and set the clock. Its rich texture feels so good and transforms creepy skin without being sticky. It makes your skin look so moisturized and healthy, and really a little bit does go a long way. That's true. I usually will slather on oil. I always assume if I like slather lotion and oil on, I'll become more moisturized. But if you use a consistent amount of a little bit every time, your skin will start to really become moisturized. I'm very excited to try this. I can't wait to luxuriate my skin in their body oil. I can't wait to dip my whole body and maybe my booty in their butter. I don't know if they make booty butter, but I think I might need to give them a call and have them add that to the repertoire. You guys got to try it. It's time to luxuriate. And another thing where you're shopping and you're helping the planet, I think that's amazing. You guys can find your new skincare favorites at ocmalibu.com and get a special discount just for our Sharp Tongue listeners. You guys are going to get 10% off your first order with promo code SHARP, SHARP, at ocmalibu.com. That's OSEA Malibu.com. You guys are going to get free samples with every order, and orders over $50 get free shipping. Time to luxuriate and help planet Earth. That's OCMalibu.com, code SHARP at checkout. And my OGs are back. Ana Luisa, what's going on? How are you guys? I literally wear my Ana Luisa jewelry every day. Every day I got this really cool chunky chain and I add it to all my layers. You guys know I call myself Mrs. T. I've got like 45 necklaces on at any given time. And this company really, it fits with my style. And I think if you go to the website, you can see how many different styles they have of necklaces and bracelets and literally anything you can think of they have on their website. It's literally made for you and the planet. They're keeping in mind as well. Another green company. They are 100% carbon and water neutral, but also like really pretty, if you ask me. Their versatile designs are perfect to mix and match. We already talked about how you can layer all this fun stuff, wear it every day, and it's really affordable. So you could just go online and shop and say, oh, I think this one's cute. I'm gonna put this one in my cart. Oh, look at this one. This one's cute. I'll put this one in my cart. You guys know, do we need it? Don't think about it. Fill up your cart. Put it all in your cart, add your necklaces, step out in the world and luxuriate. That's what we are doing today. Ana Luisa, that's ANALUISA, has timeless jewelry literally for any occasion, any and every occasion. A cute ring to show off at the grocery store when you're trying to pick up that guy who looks really rich across the kumquats. A dainty bracelet for when you're in your athleisure wear, just grabbing a cup of Joe, also trying to find a rich man at the coffee shop. I mean, there's so many different things. A luxurious necklace that can make your friends think, oh, she's making a lot of money. Jessimae must have struck the lotto. Look at that necklace. But literally, the best part is that Ana Luisa jewelry starts at $39. The prices are freaking incredible. And with our code SHRP, you're going to get 10% off your order at shop.analuisa.com. That's shop.analuisa.com. Okay, you just got to go and start layering and take chances. Be bold, okay? At Ana Luisa, that's ANALUISA. You guys, they have a gift guide on their website along with their bestsellers page, and there's just a bunch of great destinations to browse and get a bunch of gift options and stuff for yourself and your friends and your mom. If your mom's still alive, congratulations, buy her a necklace. My mom is dead, but she would love this website. So while you guys are getting yourself a new necklace, throw one in for, your sister, or, throw one in for just to have an extra gift for if your friend was having a bad day, you're going to have a necklace ready to go. That's how I shop. I always have extra gifts lying around the house. Some people call it hoarding. I call it consideration. Go treat yourself and your loved ones and use my code SHARP to get 10% off. I absolutely recommend them. Their bracelets and their necklaces that I have are honestly, the way I wear them every single day have really held up. The quality is amazing and I love the brand, and they're making sustainable jewelry. So it just feels good to wear jewelry from a company that actually cares. So go check out shop.analuisa.com/sharp and use that code SHRP. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. This episode is a reconnection with one of my comedy friends who is just a delightful human being. He's so talented. He's an OG. He's been in the industry for a hot minute, and he continues to get out there and entertain and do his thing. He's so funny. He's so talented, and he's just a really great person to talk to. I really enjoyed my conversation with him, and I know you will as well. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy this episode with Mr. Dean Edwards. Sharp Tongue Podcast. Beep, 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 beep. You're listening to the Sharp Tongue Podcast. I'm your host, Jessimae Peluso. It's a personal look. Well, it's not really a look because it's a podcast. I'm already fucking this up. This is kind of like a verbal comedy diary, a deep look into the crevices of my mind. It's gonna get dirty. You might cry. You'll probably laugh. Hopefully you'll laugh. The whole point is for you to laugh, but you also might cry. I talk about my family. I talk about farts. I talk about love, loss, comedy, how hard it is to make it in this biz. I'm a fucking professional. Each week it's something different. Sometimes I have a guest host. Sometimes it's going to be a movie companion episode. Sometimes I just ramble about the bullshit I dealt with the week before. You never know what you're going to get. It's raw, uncut, and funny. It's me. Look at our yellow.
Yes, we popping. Yellow is popping. I'm feeling the Chinese restaurant T-shirt too.
Right? This is like such a New York energy,
Yeah.
It's like on all the food you eat at 4 a.m. when you're done doing shows.
Exactly.
Where are you right now?
I'm in Brooklyn. I'm
Oh
home.
shit. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
How is
home.
it there? How's everything going on in New York?
All is well. The weather actually broke today. I think we were going to break 50 degrees. Wow.
Wow. Wow.
how
We're gonna see
how's
some
how,
tulips.
how's it out there?
It's good,
Yeah.
I'm from New York. I'm not from
Right.
New York City, but I'm
Right.
from upstate New York, so I'm used to like the ever-changing weather and actually
Yeah.
having seasons.
Right.
But I gotta say, and I know you've traveled a lot and you've been out in LA and all of that, but being in a consistent weather pattern
Uh,
for me
uh,
really is great for my mood.
right.
It's
Right.
it's it's a different game. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
do you get that sort of winter, what do they call it? Winter depression, seasonal depression?
I don't get it. And I think probably that has to do with with what we do as entertainers. We're out and about oftentimes, there have been many a winter that I was in the Caribbean, when a snowstorm hit. So we're the worst people to ask about reality because parts of us are disconnected from the normal reality, right? We're
Right.
part of reality, but we're fortunate and blessed to be able to travel on such a consistent basis where we I mean comedy's taking us everywhere. you
Everywhere.
know
It's so, who would have thought? Like, I get why everyone wants to do it.
right,
I get
right,
it. I get, and when some of my friends start doing it, I'm like, that's dope. I want to
right,
hang out with you more. But
right,
then other people, I'm like, you gotta step down. You
right.
gotta step back. We're good. The seat's taken. I feel like the little girl from Forrest Gump. The seat's taken. You can't sit here. I'm like all the little mean Southern kids telling people
Right, right.
there's no more room.
But you know
But
what?
like,
For me, it's funny because I think you get a good sense of when someone's not going to be here,
mhm.
for a long time. Some people dabble. Like I know everybody's, talking about Ti has entered into the realm of stand up comedy, and I've heard comics debating and well, he's an entertainer, and so I don't waste energy or burn it. I'm like, hey, because comedy is the witness protection program, right? Like I've
It sure
always said
is.
that. Like I don't care if you were a rapper, an actor,
We got you.
a singer, and here's what's funny. It's not like we're like, come on, come join us. But people are kind of like on outskirts and like, you guys good? What are you guys doing over here? And 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 so it's almost looked upon like, all right, well, look, if you don't say anything about my true identity, I'm not going to point out that you were a successful whatever, and now you're in
Rapper.
this whatever,
Yeah.
and you can tell when it's a money grab, right?
Yes, you can.
You can tell when somebody's agent said, "Listen, you have a following from playing your ukulele and selling out, venues and
On
and,
YouTube.
and arenas, from your YouTube ukulele, and you can now go on the road and make some decent money." I salute to anyone feeding their family and finding a way, but don't expect that we're going to respect you as a peer in
Right.
stand up, right?
Right.
You gotta pay your dues. You gotta pay your dues, and I mean there's some people that when they first started, say a decade ago, I'm thinking of like a couple of comics in particular. I remember when they first started, they were kind of corny to me, but a decade later, I salute them because I'm like, hey, they're still in it. Even if their brand of comedy isn't my preference, if,
Right.
if they've been consistently getting on stage and they found a way and learned more than just the mechanics of, hey, give it up for yourselves, give it up for the ladies, and they learned how to construct, some material. Hey, God bless them.
I know, because it's not an easy thing. And that's the the thing that was making me laugh about what you were talking about, like where comedy has taken us. And I just had this conversation with Steve Byrne last week.
Steve Byrne, good guy, Steve Byrne. Steve Byrne is a great guy.
He's such a good guy.
Such a sweet fella. I love Steve.
If he fucking slips in the shower, I'm gonna be pissed.
I'm gonna be
so mad.
Right.
We've got to put better grip in the shower. Yeah, everyone's got to please take care of yourselves. Some of you are national treasures.
Word.
But you know, when people come into comedy as a lateral move within the entertainment industry, it's interesting to watch because I think they just assume it's going to be easy.
Oh yeah. No,
because good people make it look easy.
Yeah, well, that's when people do that. I remember hearing a story. Jay Moore on a podcast. I think it was Patrice's final interview, if I'm not mistaken. And Jay Moore had Patrice on his podcast. That was a good decade ago, and Jay was like, dude, we're unicorns. He was like, I'm on set with, Oscar winners shooting this movie. And when the director yells cut, all these actors that we respect are coming up like, so you're the stand-up? What's that like? Right? Because with what we do, and that's not to, I don't want to pontificate like, the science behind stand-up.
Well, we talk about it on the podcast all the time. We get everyone's perspective.
Well, you know what? It's just that we as stand-up comedians, you are the writer, director, producer, key grip, gaffer, lighting,
craft
services, and the star of the show. And so you're learning, and producer, you are learning to do all of these things and find a way to make it work. Because for instance, this weekend I had I wasn't even supposed to be doing stand-up. I was doing something at a retreat. A friend of mine has a show on, has actually a network on Sirius XM, and she does this this wellness retreat.
What do they do? Do they sun their perineums? I want to go.
It was, it was everything from learning how to eat a little healthier, make better choices, to financial advice and financial literacy.
Oh, wow.
And I missed the whole weekend. I came up there because they wanted me to roast people doing karaoke, right? Simple enough.
Yeah.
However, you and I both know as a comic that, everything lives and dies by what you do, right? So
what do you mean by that?
By that, I mean the karaoke DJ, his equipment wasn't working correctly. And so you had a bunch of people sitting around, and I had a mic preparing to, just mess with people singing. But now I'm like, damn, I'm up here now, so I have to pivot and find a way to make it work, because no one's gonna leave there saying, yeah, that karaoke DJ was whack, and so was that comedian. It's gonna look like, oh well, I took place and I was running it,
Yes,
so
right.
So
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? So that's where your comic chops kick in, and you say, okay, well, here, let me get people doing the cha-cha slide or the wobble, baby, like everything just to keep them entertained. Right. And then once they're in a festive mood, I wasn't expecting, I'll change that. They didn't expect me to do stand-up, but I went there saying I'll probably wind up doing stand-up, because I always want to make sure that people leave saying, yo, Dean Edwards is funny, right?
Yeah.
I'm always,
right.
I know that there are people that might not be familiar with me. So I'm like, all right, let me hit them in the head. And the evening turned out great, not because of the awful, horrendous karaoke DJ, but because we pivoted. It was like Bruce Lee said, be like water, my friend. And so we had to adapt and adjust. And people, the next morning, people like, man, that was amazing. So I was like, all right, mission accomplished.
It's so funny. Like early on, there's so many different types of rooms you're in that aren't necessarily like comedy shows where you have to do stand-up.
Right.
Do you remember like a show, like a worst show or a really difficult scenario or something wild happening? Like similar to like, you remember, Lori Kilmartin?
Of course. Love Lori.
Remember when she got hit in the head with the bread roll?
I've heard that story. Yes.
Do you have anything like that that's happened to you?
Well, you know what? Coming up, because there were a handful of us that straddled the line of the mainstream rooms and the urban rooms, black rooms, right? And I was fortunate enough to be able to do both and get opportunities in both. But the black rooms were the rooms that allowed me to quit my day job, because if you were doing a one-nighter in Brooklyn, you could get $100, right?
Yep.
I don't know if it's the same now, but back in the days,
at least
at its pinnacle, in the New York City tri-state area, there were at least 40 to 50 one-nighters throughout the tri-state area that you could go get $75 to $100 on a given night. And for the people, your viewers that might not understand what that means unlike if you're going in LA to the Comedy Store, the Laugh Factory, the Improv, or in New York City if you're going to the Comedy Cellar, or back in the days Boston Comedy Club or Caroline's or Gotham Comedy Club, right? These are all spaces that were committed to a stand-up show, right? But then in Brooklyn, you had Two Steps Down, a place that John Lasseter used to host in Clinton Hills. That was a seafood restaurant. Right?
Wow. But people are just shucking clams in the back.
Right. But they, on Wednesday nights, John, had a comedy show there, or Drew Frazier having the Manhattan Proper, which was a sports bar. So on any given Tuesday night, not only are you competing to win people's attention with your laughs, you're also, if the Knicks are playing, you also are competing with people at the bar that are watching the Knicks. And so
screaming at the TV. You're like, am I getting heckled? No, right. Somebody scored.
Right. And so from that, I tell John Lasseter specifically in this particular case, I said, you know what? You're one of my favorite hosts when you're playing the Comedy Cellar. He's one of my favorite hosts because he coming up doing those types of rooms where people aren't necessarily there for comedy. They're there to eat dinner. They're there to, have a drink with some friends. They're there to try to holler at shorties.
Everything literally, they're there to do laundry. There's not even a fucking washer or dryer.
Right, exactly. And so when you come up under those conditions where it's not perfectly set up for stand-up or conducive to people laughing, when you have a situation where you're in a real comedy club, as amazing as a Comedy Cellar, and then John, who knows how to get to the funny as quickly as possible, because that's what happens in the rooms, is that you learn to adapt. And you know what? I have to economize my words and trim the fat and get right to the jokes. By the time
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, by the time you get in an actual comedy club, it's rapid fire and people don't have a chance to really catch their breath until you choose to. So that's to me, that's what makes some of these some comics that came up doing, not even just black rooms. If you came up in the alternative scene and you were doing like Luna Lounge back in the days, and you had a room full of people standing up, so you had to find a way to get to whatever your weird, quirky, funny was. You had to get to it a little bit quicker than you would have had if you were at Caroline's.
Yeah, it is such a different vibe. I remember working a lot of that circuit.
Yeah.
When I first got to New York, because the money was really good, and there's something about that audience, like it's like the Apollo.
Well, it's immediate.
You'll know right away.
Yeah, it's immediate
if what you're talking about is connecting.
And that was it's almost hackneyed to point out, because everyone always says, Black audiences or urban audiences, including Latino and maybe even some Asian, we want more for our entertainment dollar as quickly as possible. Whereas a white audience, they're a little more patient. So even if you're not doing a great job, you're not going to get heckled as quickly. You're not going to get booed. If I went
It
into,
won't burn as much.
it won't hurt. You know, when you, but here's what's funny. Most people, a boo is not, when I've always said a boo hurts, but silence is worse, because if you get booed, you kind of have an idea, okay, I know exactly where I went wrong. But if you're on stage for 10 minutes and someone is just
indifferent
and staring and pondering, and then they start looking around to see if, okay, it's not just me. You know, that burns into your soul, because you see all the questions that they have, like, wait, what made you think this was a good idea? Why are you up here? You know, and
it's that disconnect.
Yeah, and so for me,
the disconnect is painful.
Yes. So I remember one of the first shows I did, that where I bombed was, I remember I was in college up at shout out to Rochester Institute of Technology.
Hey, Rochester.
Yeah, Rochester. And there was a nightclub up there. I want to say the Bamboo Club, and they wanted to, comedy, like the like Def Comedy Jam had become such a, big revolutionary show that everybody suddenly wanted to have stand up, right? So this nightclub was like, "You're a comic? Hey, well, you want to do some time?" I was like, "All right." I didn't even care about money, right? I was like, "Yeah, I'll do comedy," but I didn't understand. Oh, you got to set it up certain. So I'm at the club, and they're like, "All right, we're gonna put you on in 10 minutes." I'm like, "All right, cool. Where's the stage?" "Oh no, you'll stand in front of the DJ booth, and he'll give you the mic." I was like, "Oh." And so, hold up. So me performing, right? This was me performing. Like, if my phone is the microphone, I had to like perform like this, because the wire is back here. So I could only like stand right here and turn. I couldn't fully turn. And this dude, again, people are not there for comedy. So they're looking at me like, because they don't introduce it. They're just like, you're hearing like, all I want to do is zoom, and a boom, boom, shake. All right, and now give it up for Dean Edwards. Huh? Wait, that's it? So look, and you immediately learn that the physiology of your body, because you're like, oh, why is my mouth suddenly feeling so dry? Why is my tongue? Oh, these are nerves. And this is the fight or flight syndrome, where people talk about why they're so afraid of speaking in front of a room full of strangers, because your body is saying, why are we doing this? Why are we here? Stop. But you can't, because the ego is like, nah, I got these jokes, they're gonna win. And then this dude just walked in front of me. I have the tape somewhere in my basement. This dude walked in front of me. This dude that I kind of knew, because I was a dancer, and so I like dancing. And he and I knew each other as dancers. Yo, this dude just he was like, "What you doing, man?" And I was like, and I had nothing, because I was embarrassed. And I was caught off guard, because I wait, why are you and you make all, when I first started, you make all of those novice errors where someone says something and you're like, "What'd you say? Say it again." And you're like, "No." Whereas now you just hit them.
I was thinking when you were talking before about like the places comedy takes us, before all the other stuff we were chatting about.
Right.
And I laughed because, when I look at you, I didn't know you as a kid, but I know you were a funny kid. I could just tell by your face. I could tell by your face, like you emote joy, and you obviously you get a lot out of what you put out. I can
Right.
see that with your spirit. Like just
Right.
having been around you the times that I have, you have that energy about you. And I'm similar, you know, I
Right.
enjoy this career and this
Right.
amazing life.
Like,
It's
how
it's
wouldn't you?
magical.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, like I get frustrated or irked when I hear people say, you know, comics, have a dark, seedy past, and I'm like, well, some do, but
So
me, Yamanika Saunders, and Sanders, and Eagle Wit, we were probably a month ago, and we were just joking about that.
oh,
I was like, did y'all have? They were both like, nah. I said, I didn't think you did. I said, because y'all actually have like delicious spirits to be around, like,
yes.
and same with you. You have a bubbly energy and spirit, and yeah, but we all have peaks and valleys. Everybody has, something sorted in their past that, or family life that they weren't happy about, but I, you know, I was a glass half full type dude. I was like, all right, well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna find my own fun. If nobody else gonna have fun, I'll play in the corner with my Star Wars figures. you know, I'm good.
It is interesting, like to have a career or to get to a point where being a class clown per se
Hmm.
brings you to Dubai and brings you
Right,
to
right.
Europe, and
Yeah,
it's really wild when you think about
definitely, definitely.
this career. It's so unique in that way where you could start out doing the rooms like you were talking
Right.
about, those circuits and crossing over to mainstream. And the next thing you know, you're traveling all around the world.
Yeah.
My question is, where is one of the places that you've done stand up that was a big milestone for you in your career, whether the difficulty of it because of a language barrier
Mhm.
or, whatever travel issues or just being invigorated by the culture? Do you remember any country specifically that you've traveled to that sort of dug its talons into you?
I wouldn't say necessarily the country, but just the region. The Middle East has been wonderful to me for the last now 13 years. I started going over. Shout out to my man Ahmed, or as
Yeah.
they say over there, Ahmed. Um, yeah, but my first real into I had done things in Europe, Amsterdam, the UK. But the first like real like travel for me was I had done South Africa with Ahmed,
Wow.
Angelo Sarukis, Kira Sultanovic, and a young upstart from South Africa named Trevor Noah. We spent a month in Cape Town and another week in Johannesburg, and that really opened my eyes to just performing overseas, and it gave me insight to realize, you know laughter is universal because the human condition is universal, and we all share a lot of similarities. So I never felt the need to adjust my material. And then while we were there, Ahmed, you spend a month with someone and you get cool and learn their habits and their spirit or whatever. And Ahmed was like, have you been to the Middle East? I said, no. He's like, I'm going to blow you up there. I was like, watch how you say that.
Yeah.
And
Bad choice of words.
yeah, and a couple months later, he sent me, Angelo Sarukis, and uh, and this Italian guy named Sebastian Maniscalco,
Wow.
to Saudi. And what had us all nervous? I think Angelo had been there before. Sebastian and I had never done the Middle East, so he flew from LA. I flew from New York. We connected in Switzerland, and the first time I didn't know he's there. I'm watching because it was during the pilgrimage, or as they call the Hajj, of millions of Muslims that were going to Mecca for their Hajj. Going to the holy city, which is in Saudi Arabia. So I'm seeing just, you know, hundreds of people dressed in all white walking by, and I'm sitting like, what am I doing? And I look over and I see, and Sebastian, I don't know how long he's been watching me, but he's sitting maybe 10 seats away from me in the airport in Switzerland, and he's looking at me like, what the hell are we doing here?
I can just see his face.
Like, and I fell out laughing because I'm like, yo, how long has this dude been waiting for me to react?
And how long's he been watching me?
Right. And so
if I saw all those people going by in white, I would have been like, did I die?
Right.
Where am I? Am I in heaven?
Right. And I was nervous because Ahmed was very relaxed as far as he was like, tell them that you're a consultant, because at the time, this type of entertainment was underground, right? The shows we did were promoted underground on Facebook, where from what I understand, they said the king knew the shows were occurring, but as long as we respected the customs, we were doing the shows at the Venezuelan and Italian consulate. So technically, the shows didn't take place in Saudi Arabia, right?
Right.
So the entire trip, I'm like, all right, do I have to? Okay, I'm going to say a consultant. So I work for Apple, and I'm coming over to, like, I had this whole story concocted, and then they
it makes me so nervous to think about lying in Saudi Arabia.
Shook, but I didn't know. He didn't give us any other. No, you're a consultant. So I'm like, okay, what kind of consultant? He's like, just you're a consultant. I'm like, all right. So I get to immigration.
I mean, Marty Bird is a consultant,
yeah. Right. There were no problems, no hesitation. They looked, stamped us, and we walked through. But it also doesn't help relax you when you see like the skull and crossbones sign saying drugs are a penalty that can bring death, or so, like having that type of contraband. I remember seeing that. I was like, I never even smoked. Like I'm confess. I'm like, I never even smoked a joint, sir. I have nothing. I don't drink. I don't do any of that.
That's right. You don't. You're sober, but not like sober. Are you sober from any addiction? Or you just it's a lifestyle?
I never. When I was younger, I used to make my mom's screwdrivers. I used to make her vodka with orange juice. I give my dad his Heinekens.
So you're bartending in the house. What was this in the morning?
I was
or in the evening?
No, it was in the evening. Usually, if they had like a dinner party or whatever, some friends over. So I tasted, beer looked like piss to me, and vodka. I was like, this has to be what the Millennium Falcon runs off of. This is like some sort of rocket.
It's so bad.
It was.
It just burns. Even the best vodka, still, it's like.
Yeah. So by the time I was able to indulge, I was like, nah, I'm good. I was like, and I'm also, I enjoy life. So I didn't really need that. Like I have a joke where I talk about, when you don't drink specifically, people look at you, like you did something wrong. They're like, first, because especially on the road, after shows, people are always like, hey, dude, we're doing shots. You're doing shots. I'm like, oh, no, man, I don't drink. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, we're doing. I'm like, dude, no, I don't. And then they immediately think you're in a
You've crashed a car and killed a family in your past.
And so they're like, oh, dude, you're in a program. I'm like, no. They're like, oh, what are you, gay? I'm like, no, I thought I could just make a choice for me.
Yeah.
And people get self-conscious, where if you don't drink or smoke, they then feel uncomfortable drinking and smoking around you. I'm like, and so my boy Harris, who's usually on the road with me, he's the one that has to tell people, nah, you know what, do you, Dean's not like that. He's not, because I don't care what you do as long as it doesn't affect me. Do you enjoy
right
yourself?
Like some people need the lubricant to connect them,
right,
vice to connect them, and the only way they can open up their heart chakra is with a shot
Right.
of Goldschlager.
Right.
Try and say that
Exactly.
10 times fast.
Right. Right. The heart chakra with the gold shot. That.
That part.
Yeah.
How do you indulge? Is there anything like, do you do scratch off tickets or maybe eat at night?
You know, I get off seeing my people. Like, I love going on the road with Harris because Harris, you know, he's fun to be around because he does enjoy his indulgence, you know.
Oh,
And
does he? He likes a
he's
little
smoking
juice. He gets
whether
loose with the juice.
he gets his Hennessy and Coke, or is it Jack and Coke? One of the two.
Damn.
You know, he goes hard in the paint. And I told him, I said, you know what? You're not selling me on the idea of drinking, because I don't want to drink anything that makes me go like this. And that's always his face. I said, why are you doing it to yourself? You know, but I enjoy being on the road with you know, good friends and chopping it up. You know, that's the turn up for me.
That's interesting. You know, now, especially in the industry, in the world, people being health conscious is more in the language and in the conversation. But, you know, in the entertainment industry, historically, traditionally, we know that people overindulge, and I'm sure you've lost friends. We both have lost friends to drugs and all of that. But now it's funny because it's like, it's almost flipping into the other direction where, like, I've been out and I go to bed early. So the later shows are rough for me because I usually get up around 5 to 6. So it's like,
wow. When did you make that have you always been a early sleeper, or was that?
No, I was a night owl, especially living in New York.
Right,
you know, bartending and doing stand up. I'd go to bed at like 3 o'clock in the morning and you know, get my 7-8 hours of sleep and wake up 10, 11 o'clock or whatever. But I think moving to LA slowly evolved me into that schedule because the sun was up and I'm like, oh shit, there's more, we got more time to hang out. There's more light, you know, and having my dogs. And I think just slowly adjusting my lifestyle. And now I love it. Like if I'm not up by 6, I wake up late. I'm like, I just missed like 3 hours of the day. I love getting up. I love doing all my like old lady shit in the morning. I do crosswords and have like, you know, a tea or a coffee or like, you know, a biscuit with some jelly and butter. I love like I'll get stuff from like the bakery, like a croissant, fucking butter croissant. Watch out. I feel like a lady with the crumples and all the crust gets all over my face. There's no way to not eat a croissant. No. And it doesn't look like you went face first into gravel. Do you know what I mean? It's just all.
And don't let you be driving somewhere, because when you look down, it looks like you're a toddler.
Yeah, it does. It looks like you got a manicure from your chin skin. It looks like somebody pumice your chin skin onto your lap.
Pumice.
Yeah. There's no way to look cute after eating a croissant.
Not at all. It's the same as eating a Jamaican beef or chicken patty, like, because the better the crust, the more it crumbles.
Yes.
And look, now
it's like a pastry crust, isn't it? It's so good.
That pastry.
It is so good.
Yeah.
Are you originally from Brooklyn?
Originally from the Bronx.
What'd your parents do?
My dad, you know, it's funny. My dad, he worked for New York State Department of Corrections and retired from Auburn. We wound up upstate because he, every time my dad got promoted, we moved further upstate. So it was like Bronx, Mount Vernon, up in Westchester and Yorktown Heights. I did a year in Poughkeepsie, my sophomore year in Poughkeepsie. Then we wound up moving.
Poughkeepsie, beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful, but it was so boring.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Especially if you're used to New York and then you go out to the suburbs. So, but Poughkeepsie was still close enough to New York City. And then my dad got transferred to Attica, and we wound up living in Batavia for my last year and a half of high school.
Those don't sound like real places. That's through the wardrobe, right? You go through the wardrobe.
You have to go
through the right.
Exactly. And Batavia.
All those places.
Yeah, Batavia is the midway point between Rochester and Buffalo. Buffalo and Rochester are 60 miles apart, and so Batavia is 30 miles from each of them. So that's how we wound up in and then
And then you
eventually
went in Auburn, New York.
no. So then
I
after
was gonna
we
say
were in
my dad's
Batavia,
from Auburn, New York.
yeah, we were in Batavia for a couple of years, and then my family he got transferred to Cape Vincent, which is Watertown. So we moved to Rochester. At this point, I'm in college at MCC, which is in Rochester, and he's commuting, going up to Watertown during the week, coming home on the weekends, and then eventually he wound up getting transferred to Auburn correctional facility, and he would just commute daily to Auburn. And at that point, I think I was in that. Those were my college years, and then I eventually moved back to the Bronx. Oh, like
Yeah, you
almost,
always come back home
yeah,
somehow. It
exactly,
makes that way back into your life. And what did your
exactly.
mom do?
My mom, she was actually copy editor for Cosmopolitan magazine. So that's what, like,
Whoa, that's
yeah,
dope.
yeah, when people hear, like, growing up, friends always call, like, is your mother white? I'm like, no, she's from a different era, and she works in corporate
Why would
America,
they
man.
ask that?
Well, because she speaks with a certain diction, and which
Mm,
like, if you listen to me speak, there's a propriety to how I speak and enunciate, and because we couldn't bring the street into the house, and so
wow.
she was in charge of making sure that everything that people read worldwide had all the proper grammar and no punctuation errors. So that just seeped into my life, or me and my family's life.
That's an interesting conversation to bring up, dialect and um, the way people talk.
Hmm.
It's obviously because of how we are as human beings. You're talking before about having the fight or flight on stage and
Right,
feeling fear. And we
right.
feel that because a disconnect means we're outside of the pack. It means
Hmm.
we're not going to survive. And so
Right.
we want to survive. And one of the ways we do that is we mimic how other people sound so
Yeah.
that we blend in, so that we're a part of the tribe.
Right.
Um, but the conversation about sounding white or sounding black,
Hmm.
it always, I understood it.
Hmm.
But even as an adult now, I have such a not unique but different perspective and opinion on it because
Hmm.
I grew up in like inner city Syracuse. It's not
Right.
like it was uh, you know, Brooklyn or the Bronx, but it
Right.
was very diverse. Like our high
Right.
school was completely mixed.
Right.
If you look down the hallway, you couldn't pick one dominant culture. It
Right.
was Asians and blacks and Latinos. Like it was amazing in that sense.
Right.
I'm so fortunate because I, didn't see, not that I didn't see color. I wasn't
It,
discriminative.
right.
Is that
Right.
a word?
It's a word because you just said it. I think it might be, but you didn't grow up. There wasn't an awareness of different. Everyone was aware of the different cultures, but unlike, say, if you grew up in a more rural area of
Right.
Syracuse, where you only saw, three black guys.
And then people do this.
Right,
Like watching
right,
them walk, like it's a big deal,
right.
but
Whereas,
it wasn't alarming or it was just a part of
right,
the
right.
everyday existence. So when it comes to like the language and how people talk,
Hmm.
some people have said that to me that I sound black when I
Hmm.
talk sometimes. And I was just like, what does that mean? Like what? And that's
That
my question to you. Like
yeah.
can you tell me how you feel about that and what that means from your perspective? And is it linked to the skin color or is there something else that influences that in your opinion?
For me, I think when people say that, this goes back to, talking about how comedy has taken us places,
Mm.
has taken us across the world. And when you go overseas, you gain an appreciation for back home, but you also get a better understanding of the moving image and people's perceptions, right? And so I think most people, when people say he, she talks white, he, she talks black, they're saying that from a perspective of, and not necessarily, I won't say it's not a racist perspective. It's an ignorant perspective because their palate has not expanded beyond what they've been fed, right?
Right. Yes.
And so the only black people that someone has seen have been via, whether it's rap music or stereotypical black characters on TV and film over the last 60 years, then that's going to inform how they perceive someone black to sound, right? So
that's interesting,
and that goes both ways, because I had black friends that would call my house and say, "Hey, is your mom white?" Because also especially once we moved upstate, most of my friends from upstate, like in Rochester, Rochesterians were from down south, and so there was a twang to everyone's accent and the way they spoke, and so someone's mother might have a little twang. Oh, come on here, sugar, come on, baby. And my mother didn't sound like that. So I didn't look at it as I never looked at it as someone as being racist or racially insensitive. I'm like, oh, well, they just don't know any better because all they've been fed is what they've been fed. So they haven't experienced other types of black people or other types of, like, you grew up in a multicultural area of Syracuse, New York. And so because of that, you had friends whose families, you have Italians that were hanging out with black people, that were hanging out with Polish, that were hanging out with Asian, that were hanging out with Latino. So you all borrowed from each other culturally.
Right.
And that crossed boundaries, not only to language and certain words, but also the dialect that you all spoke with.
Yeah, and I think it's I like the way you said that, like, it's almost like their cultural palette is limited.
I just thought
it's a good way to understand that.
Yo, I just thought I was like, you don't hear that plane outside?
Oh yeah, it's this microphone picks up ant farts. It's every time a truck goes by, I ovulate a little bit because it's just something. My girlfriend Carly and I both like servicemen. We like men with like dusty knuckles, and we really need to grow out of that. We're working on it. It's a journey in our self-discovery.
You know what? But you know what? Shout out to all the servicemen that didn't think they had a chance between you and Carly. Look.
Thank you for recognizing the quality.
Hey,
thank you for recognizing the quality.
Servicemen need love too. A truck driver that doesn't know how to use lotion. I'm pampered. I'm pampered and I'm black. I gotta make sure I'm lotion.
Your skin looks amazing.
Thank you.
I have another question. Mm-hmm. I want your perspective because your perspective. I'm tight with Yamanika. Yami is
Yami.
God. I have so many amazing memories with her, laughing until we're crying. And that was how I, just cutting my teeth in New York City was, I think of her every time.
Right.
And, I learned so much about her experience because she's such an interesting human being, in that her upbringing and, her education and being trained in acting for so long, and her relationship with her grandmother and her mother and all of that. And it brings me to the other thing that people say, that when I hear someone say it, I'm like, oh, that's uncomfortable. I don't like that. When they're shocked, and I want your opinion on it and also your perspective, when they say, oh, about a black person or, somebody of color, where they say, oh, they sound so educated. And I go like this.
Yeah. See,
Come again?
again.
So can you talk about that a little bit? Like,
Yeah, that's born of ignorance. Now that one, that's
that one's
slightly
different.
that's different, right? Because that's
There's
also
racism in that one.
there's racism involved. There's an assumption that you don't have an education, or suddenly now they're treating you on a higher plane than they would have, because they presumed that you would just, this ignorant person of color. I
And also
know
that if you sound a way, that
right,
means you're not
right,
educated.
right. It's so layered. It's too layered
It's so
to
layered.
break
That's why I was like,
down.
I know we
Yeah,
can't break it down in 10
yeah,
minutes, but
yeah.
I wanted like a
It's
little bit
it's
of
it's very
light
offensive.
shown on it.
It's very offensive. I love. I remember Rock spoke about it in Bring the Pain, or was it Bring the Pain? Yeah, they were talking about, Chris Rock was talking about Colin Powell, and he said, and they keep saying, "Oh, he speaks so well. He speaks so well. What kind of ignorant racist crap is that? How'd you expect him to see? I be president. He's like, you racist motherfucker. He was pissed,
Yes.
but
So they
it
said the
was.
same shit about Obama.
Yeah, it's like that's not a compliment, and
It's not. That's it. It's not a
it's not
compliment.
a compliment, and it harkens back to um slavery, because that sounds like something that is wow, this Negro speaks so well, because it's almost like, it's like there are ellipses after them saying, wow, you speak so well, dot dot dot, for a black person. Wow,
Exactly.
you sound pretty educated, dot dot dot, for a black person.
There's a contingency attached to it.
Yeah,
And it's still, I see what you're saying. It's still connected to a level of ignorance, but there's also,
yeah,
it is a layered conversation, because it is, it's offensive. Like when I hear it,
yeah.
and I have family members who,
Right.
have a less, like we were talking
Less
about comedy and
expanded palette.
exactly.
Right.
The more
Right.
you travel, there's so many devices that can make you become more intelligent and aware
Mhm.
and expand your palate. And travel is
Mhm.
one of those things, especially like
Travel.
how we've traveled.
Right.
Like you say, you miss home and you really appreciate home, but you also realize the wide spectrum of nuances that exist in different cultures, and
Right.
also the things that are offensive within different cultures, like eye contact and pointing and
Right.
all
Right.
these little, cues.
Yeah.
And, you start to just you pause before you say something.
Right. Right. And
You sort of have a consideration
that's
when you're,
that's the point. There's you gain empathy and consideration for others, and that's the difference. The reason you feel uncomfortable with anyone saying something like that is because you've been around a variety of people, right?
Mhm.
You've been around a variety of people, some that are great friends like a Yamanika, and and Yam is sharp as a steak knife.
she don't miss anything, and she
Miss
is
anything,
fired up.
is intelligent, and people are gonna that's a benefit to her, because you're gonna have people that are gonna see, oh, this big sassy black woman, and they're not gonna think, oh, this woman is well educated, and she can flip it up, but she's comfortable in who she is. She's comfortable in her truth, and her she doesn't feel the need to wear a mask and present all quiet and demure. She's like, no, this is who I am. This is how you're gonna accept me. Take it or leave it. If you don't take it, that's on you. But I'm not making any adjustments to that, right?
I
And
learned
so-
a lot of that from her, just the way how she carries herself in professionally and just around people. She demands respect.
Yeah. And you have to, especially as a woman in this business, and as a woman of color in this business, you have to, because people aren't going to give it to you, and so,
Right.
So being around that energy, you can't help but learn a little bit more empathy, a little bit more compassion and consideration. And that's, as what we've learned over, we've been reminded of, whether it's Ukraine, whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether, people that need to understand that, people are human beings and pay more attention to their humanity, right? Paying more attention to each other's humanity is how we come together.
That's beautiful. I think that's a great place to wrap this up. I
got buttons, son. That's what I do.
You do. I mean, I don't even want to fuck with that button at all. I really don't. That was so beautiful. Tell my listeners where they can find you. What do you have coming up? Are you going to be on the road this weekend? This will be up tomorrow.
You know what? Now I'll be at Gotham Comedy Club. You can follow me on all things social media at IAM Dean Edwards. I am Dean Edwards, so that's who I am. Especially I'm mainly on Instagram, and then everything streams from Instagram, right? Every Monday night, I have something that started during the pandemic called the Father Muckin Protocol. We gotta make sure we get you on.
What's it called?
It's called the Father Muckin Protocol, right?
The Father Muckin?
Father Muckin Protocol.
I need that on a shirt.
Yeah.
Father Muckin.
You know what's funny? I have.
You gotta make
merch.
shirts.
It's on my merch. I wish I had worn one of those. I got you. And it started during the pandemic. I think tonight is episode 83. And I've had everybody from Tiffany Haddish to Sebastian Maniscalco, Dion Cole, Tony Rock. I just had Coco Brown. Tonight we have Angela Means from the Friday franchise and Def Comedy Jam. And it's just served similar to what you're doing here. It's a way. For me, it started as a way just to stay in contact with comics that I missed during the pandemic, but also to sort of get under the hood and learn about their journeys. And everyone has had what I've learned doing the show is everyone has such an interesting, different route of getting to wherever their level of success is. So Roy Wood Jr.'s route and doing prank calls on radio in Alabama is different than Gina Yashire's route coming up as a Nigerian Brit that made a splash
and a lesbian and talk about layers.
Yeah, layers, and she wound up and has her own. She co-created a show with Chuck Lorre on CBS. Does
it get bigger than television than Chuck Lorre? Yeah, that guy created my childhood.
Exactly. And so everybody has just these incredible stories, and I've used it just as a platform to give people some hope, as well as some insight into what we do as creatives, because I've had casting directors on, I've had producers on, and writers and directors, some of everyone on. It's just been, and they're all up on my page. Scroll down, and you'll see someone that you're a fan of, and that's mainly. And I have some things that we've been, getting my producer's arm on, lately. So yeah.
That's awesome. I would love to be a guest. Please have me up in there.
Most definitely.
I can't wait for people to be like, "Where's this girl from? She sounds. Right. Is your friend Black?"
Right. Exactly.
I don't know what you're talking about. I love you so much. Thank you for making time.
Of course,
it was so nice to dig into your mind a little bit and to see your smiling face. You're adorable.
Likewise.
I'm going to be in New York in two weekends. Are you there the 24th through the 28th?
I leave on the 27th, so I'll be here. Are you one of the clubs? Where are you?
No, I'm just there with my family. We're just going to cruise around town, do edibles, and go to Broadway.
Oh, you know what you got to see?
What?
Make sure, if you can get a chance, MJ the Musical is incredible.
I heard it was so amazing.
Oh my God. Matter of fact, Dion Cole, you love Dion. I'm sitting in the cellar last week. He walks in, he's like, "Yeah, I just came from seeing MJ the Musical." I said, "Dude, wasn't it dope?" I said, "My wife's going again tomorrow." He's like, "Yo, it's my second time seeing it, Dean. That show is amazing." And
now I have to go.
That show is, you will leave there like floating, because the way they've taken the songs from Michael Jackson's collection, both with his brothers and as a solo artist, and told
Wow.
this amazing narrative story, and the dancing. Like you walk out of there like singing and dancing because
Lifted.
the show is so good. It's so good.
I mean, his music is still off the wall.
Yeah.
To me, is
Oh,
one
yeah.
of the greatest. Off the Wall and Thriller are
Off the Wall.
impeccable.
Yeah, Off the Wall
Immaculate
is
records.
damn near. Off the Wall as a single is like such a. I'm getting goosebumps. It's such a perfect record. And here's what's funny: going to bring it full circle. The karaoke DJ this past weekend didn't have that. That shows how awful he was. How do you not
What?
have? He didn't have.
What?
Someone said, "Do you have Michael Jackson's Off the Wall?" And he said, "Check the book." And I was being nice, but I wanted to say to him eventually, "Dude, nothing's in the book.
No, yeah, you don't have that. There's
You got nothing."
Throw it out. We're burning it. We're setting the
Right.
book on fire.
Right.
This is you're a terrible DJ.
Yeah,
And then he's
awful.
like, "Come on the stage, Dean Edwards."
Right. Look, I
And
took
you're like
over.
this.
I introduced myself. I didn't trust him to introduce me.
And then you're like, "Bear, bear, bear." Well, I love you so much. Thank you again.
Too, Jay. Great seeing
And
you.
I'll hit you up when I'm on your
Definitely.
turf.
Definitely do that.
take care of
And
yourself.
likewise, you do the same. All right.
Love ya.
Peace, y'all. I love you.